going on, everybody? Welcome back to the second ever edition of the Fan Committee Football Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Joe Tuman, once again joined by my co-host, Michael Herrera. So we got AFC East Division Preview going on today. Mike, we explained on the first episode you're a big Dolphins fan. We wanted to talk about the Dolphins as well as the Buffalo Bills in this episode. And, we could start out with the Dolphins because they had a big offseason, lots of moving parts around the team. Brian Flores is out. Mike McDaniel is in as the head coach. Lots of trades, obviously, Tyreek Hill being the biggest. There's a lot of expectations on the team right now. So where's your mindset as a Dolphins fan right now?
Well, I think the Dolphins, I think a lot of the media, they're underselling how good we could be. I'm not going to say are going to be, because, you never know. Maybe Mike McDaniel doesn't work out. But, this is a very boom or bust team. And I think Mike McDaniel, if he can bring any semblance of that 49ers offense to, our team, that's going to be insane. Because that was really the big issue with our offense last year. The defense was great, playing out of its mind. But what we needed was the other half of the football game was the offense. And we didn't have that. So I think bringing in Tyreek Hill and Mike McDaniel is huge. I think Mike McDaniel is actually the biggest offseason move that happened because that is the most make or break part about this team. I don't think it's Tua. I think everyone's like, oh, Tua, Tua's going to hold us back. He's the make or break. It's not him. It's Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, I totally agree. And not to dwell too much on the Brian Flores situation, but Brian Flores, as good as a coach as he is, I think he was treated really poorly. And it's really shady what the Dolphins, Stephen Ross, people like that were doing, trying to get him to lose games intentionally instead of building the culture he wanted. But weirdly, even though how screwed up it was how they treated him, I think he might have stumbled into a better coach. I really like Mike McDaniel's, just his presentation as a coach, just the way he goes about things. People think he's just this goof, but that's just his personality. Behind that is a really smart football guy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, which is I agree. Which I don't think a coach's personality has anything to do with their success. Because I feel like people conflate personality with coaching style. Because you can be a fun, goofy guy like Mike McDaniel is in a press conference. It doesn't mean you're not going to be a hard coach when you need to be. I've even seen Dolphins reporters that they're I'm worried Mike McDaniel's not going to be firm enough with the team. And it's just because in his interview, he's enjoying himself. He should be. Yeah. He's a head coach. He's living in Miami and enjoying his life. He has the opportunity to really turn this team around and do great things and go down as a great head coach, So of course you'd be excited talking about that. But that doesn't mean you can't still be a good coach. So I think a lot of people lose perspective.
Yeah, I love this hire for the Dolphins. I really think I think it's going to work out too, which we can
I do feel bad for Brian Flores. I do agree. Stephen Ross has done some shady things. I really don't like Stephen Ross. I'm real with you. I don't like him. He traded away Kenny Stills because Kenny Stills didn't like him and his political views, which I think is insane. I just don't like Stephen Ross. I don't know. I wouldn't say Brian Flores was terribly treated because, as it turns out, or supposedly, of course, this is all hearsay, right? But if it's to be believed, Brian Flores sucked too. He openly disliked the organization and openly chafed against them at every turn. If that's to be believed, Brian Flores also kind of helped see himself at the door. Is part of it still Stephen Ross being shady? Yeah, of course, I'm not going to deny that. But I don't think that Brian Flores is completely blame-free. But I do feel horrendous about what happened to Brian Flores after he was removed from the Dolphins. I think the whole racism allegations, I think that's a big thing. And I do feel bad about him for that. But in terms of the Dolphins, I feel that's a 50-50, everyone kind of sucks here situation.
It's just weird because you always would hear the way Brian Flores is portrayed is that he was this player's coach. We saw how he rallied the team last year after that ugly start. They finished with 9 wins nonetheless on the stretch. You could talk about as a fan, the schedule wasn't horrific. It wasn't the worst schedule in the world, but there was also some good wins in there, as we kind of do in the first podcast. And the year before you go 10-6, you barely miss out on the playoffs. The defense was revitalized, but now you made the change, and I just think that the Dolphins are going to be more dangerous because of it. As good as the coach Brian Flores is, I think it's going to work out. So we can get right on into it. I have a burning question for you to bring up.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple one. People could probably guess what it is for the Dolphins. Is this enough talent to help Tua out? And I know what you're saying. It's not all falling on Tua, and I agree with that. But at the same time, I think Tua needs to be at least a quality quarterback this year. He doesn't have to.
Oh no, for sure. Yeah, I don't want anyone to like get it misinterpreted. Like Tua still needs to play well. I just feel that like even if Tua doesn't play well and he needs to be replaced next year, I don't think that means the whole team. You just need to bin it again, rebuild again, just because Tua doesn't work out. Which is why I was saying that like I still feel McDaniel's the important thing because if we can get the coaching right, even if Tua plays badly and it's another wasted season, we'll come back next year with a good quarterback and we'll probably be a great team. But I think Tua, like, he deserves his chance. And I think I don't know, I think people are too mean to him, which is such like a soft thing to say. But like, I don't know. Me personally, I think people hate on him too much. And like, I know I'm a Dolphins fan and like, that's my quarterback. I got to defend them. People, they need time to develop. And I don't think it's fair to be like, oh, he has to be amazing.
And the thing with Tua is, I don't know if he's ever going to be elite like he was in college. I mean, he was incredible in college, but this is where we can start talking about what Mike McDaniel is going to bring as a coach, because I think you alluded to it earlier. He's coming from the Niners. If he can bring that style the Niners have, the Niners, even though they have really good players like Debo and Kittle, they're not reliant on one guy. Like they have a very flexible offense. Everybody can kind of work together. And when you look at these moves, I mean, you can address some of them. I think the roster, the offense specifically, has kind of been tailored to mirror what the 49ers have done over the past few years.
Oh, for sure. And I have no issue with that because I think the 49ers have a great offense. I think their only problem was Jimmy G was their quarterback. And I think that was really holding them back, or like depending if he gets traded or not, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think Jimmy G is a terrible quarterback. He just needs a system that fits him. And he doesn't fit the high power offense of like the Niners.
Well, this is what I wanted to bring up. I think that Jimmy G, he's made a Super Bowl. He's made 2 NFC title games. I think that Tua, he should try to be mirroring what Jimmy G is able to do. Jimmy G he's not necessarily what wins the Niners a lot of these games, but he brings the leadership. He is the driving force.
That's true.
That's kind of what the Niners or the Dolphins are doing right now. They're hoping all this talent can make them, sometimes above average. And I think
that's true. No, that is a good point. Like I don't think Jimmy's as bad as people say. But like, he's never gonna win you a game. But I don't think he's ever gonna lose you a game really either. Right. Like people can point fingers at him and say did he fumble or throw an interception in the Rams game? He fumbled, right?
I think I can't remember right now.
Like I don't know. There's only so much you can do about that. Like it's bound to happen at some point. Like I don't know. I think he gets too much blame. But Tua has the skills to be an elite quarterback. I'm not guaranteeing it because, like, he's one of the most accurate in the league right now. I do really think that, like, Tua could be elite at some point. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I think it's possible. Like, he's got the arm talent in terms of, like, accuracy for it,
Yeah.
Like, he could definitely be, like, the elite, like, accurate quarterback.
Right. That's I think would really work with this system because a lot of people, that's their criticism of Tua right now is that he doesn't make the big throws. He's not a big play quarterback, but, he's not a bad runner. He is accurate, like you say, most games. And I think as long as Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Gesicki, they're all able to get into their positions and, just beat who's covering them, stuff like that, I think Tua is going to be able to look a lot better than maybe he really is. Or if you, like you say, maybe he'll develop. Maybe these weapons will help him develop. Either way, I think the Dolphins are in a fine spot. It's only been 2 years of Tua Tagovailoa in the league. He was the 5th pick in the draft. They take him over Justin Herbert, and obviously that hasn't aged well at all. But that doesn't.
There's no guarantee Justin Herbert would have been good on the Dolphins either because they're a terrible team.
Yeah, I mean, especially that first season, Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua were splitting time a lot. There's rumors that Brian Flores didn't support the Tua pick to begin with. So it's kind of weird. And when you look at the rest of the offense, I think it really does mirror the Niners. The running back crew. It's a running back by committee approach. Gaskin's here, but now you bring in Chase Edmonds on a 2-year deal. You're bringing Mostert over from the Niners. They're hoping he gets healthy. Sony Michel, who I'm not the biggest Sony Michel guy, but I like him in this kind of system where he's he's rotating with a lot of people, and that will keep him fresher. I think the second half of the year with the Rams last year, once it was him, Henderson, Akers, like I like that for Sony Michel a lot more than him as like a lead back. And I think he could be really good for the Dolphins here. Tyreek Hill is kind of in that Deebo Samuel role of just an elite receiver. I don't think they're going to run him like Deebo Samuel was run. They shouldn't, but he's in that role. And then Jalen Waddle is kind of the X factor. I don't think the Niners had anyone like Jalen Waddle. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just in there, and I think he's going to be a beast. And even little stuff like the Niners are one of the teams that use fullbacks the most. Kyle Juszczyk's been the best fullback in the league for ages. Alec Ingold is probably going to be used in a very similar way coming over from the Raiders. And
Yeah,
even
for
like
sure.
Lynn Bowden, who is kind of like this. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Deebo Samuel by any means, but they can
Yeah.
use him in that way as a running back or a receiver. That versatility, you have it on from a lot of players on this team. What do you think of the actual run game as a Dolphins fan? Are you confident in its ability? Because when I look at Myles Gaskin, you've talked to me about a lot about Myles Gaskin. I still kind of don't understand where you're coming from necessarily. In that, I
That's
think
fair.
he's a lot better than I think he is. But I think he's going to benefit just like Sony Michel from having all these teammates around him, all these different kind of backs. Chase Edmonds is getting paid big money. I think he was very underutilized in Arizona.
I really do think so because, like, as you're saying, it's the 49ers offense, but in Miami now, right?
Right.
And I think that, like, their whole offense was versatile because we don't have an exact Debo because there's no other Debo.
Right.
No one's going to do it like him. But players that could emulate a similar play style, allow us that flexibility, are Lynn Bowden and Myles Gaskin, which is why I'm so high on both of them. Well, with Lynn Bowden, less so. I think Lynn Bowden, he's coming off a big injury, but like Lynn Bowden, he was drafted to be a running back by the Raiders, and then he played wide receiver for the Dolphins when we traded for him. And he's pretty decent. And it's like you could use him a little similarly, kind of just like throw the defense off guard every few plays. Nothing like he's not going to be a Debo, and that's fine. He doesn't need to be. No one does like Debo, right? Because like you can't. People always like everyone's always talking about like, oh, we need to find the next Taysom Hill, the next Debo Samuel. It's like
Taysom Hill.
it's not how that works. Myles Gaskin also like he's not a between the tackles runner. He's a shifty receiving back or like a running it out wide back, And I think that was the problem with last year was that we tried to run in between the tackles because like we signed Malcolm Brown last offseason, right? Malcolm Brown did not work out. He was supposed to be the in between tackles guy, and he just
played. I just remembered he was even on the Dolphins.
He played terribly. That's why you never heard about him. That's why Myles Gaskin was doing what he was supposed to do, and it was ending up terribly for Gaskins. But like remember, I don't know if you remember this, but like I was complaining last year because I put Gaskins on the bench for the one game he popped off because he was used correctly in fantasy. Because they played the Buccaneers and we got destroyed by the Bucs, which was to be expected. But like Myles Gaskin had like 35 points that game because they used him the way they're supposed to.
Right.
You run him out wide, you throw him quick screens, you throw him swing passes, that type of stuff. That's what Myles Gaskin is good for. That's why I'm so high on him because I feel the team's been using him incorrectly.
Yeah.
Because like there's a reason he was back on the team last year because his year before that, like 2 years ago, was good because he played well because they used him correctly. You can run him out wide. Running through the tackle between the tackles once or twice, right? Because he's a running back.
Yeah.
But you can
Just
kind of give him
a power back. Don't make him the power back. I got what you're saying.
Exactly. Like I think that's like what Chase Edmonds is going to be. Chase Edmonds also isn't like a purely like Derrick Henry type, but like he's a lot better at that.
Well, I was going to bring that up actually. Chase Edmonds, Arizona used him primarily as their pass catching back.
Yeah.
Do you see him? The way I look at this, in all honesty, is I thought Chase Edmonds was kind of there to be the slap on the wrist for Myles Gaskin. But the way you're putting it is like, yes, the reason he averaged 3.5 yards a carry is because they weren't using him as more of a pass catching like speedster back. So do you think Chase Edmonds is going to be more of a power back than a receiving back?
I think
he's going to be. Sony Michel was going to be the between the tackles guy.
I think the thing is, I don't know if Sony Michel makes the team, if I'm being honest. But because the thing is, like, the problem with Sony Michel is I like Sony Michel, but the problem is we still have Raheem Mostert, and
he's the guy I think would get cut.
Honestly, that's kind of the way I've been leaning too, because I'm kind of like Raheem Mostert. He's a speed back,
but the thing
he's been
He is so fast, though. He's so fast.
The thing is he's a speed back, but like he's been injured recently and he's getting older,
Yeah, he
which
is.
I think is why he's on the 1 year deal.
Well,
But
Savion Ahmed's still there. He's probably getting cut for sure.
Salman Ahmed, I think honestly we try to trade him somewhere because I think you could at least get like a fifth from a team that really
Oh,
needs
you
one.
can't get a fifth for Savion Ahmed. I'm sorry. No,
I actually think you could. I think like a really desperate team.
Amari Cooper went for a fifth round pick.
Actually, oh yeah, that's a really good point.
I think Savion Ahmed could go for like a seventh rounder if
That's fine.
if a team
Yeah,
needs one.
he was undrafted, so
But I
that's a
think
win.
that's a good value for him. If you're just gonna cut him, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah, no. So I don't think Chase Edmonds is going to be the power back. I think it will be Michelle, like you were saying. I think so. Here's how I think it's going to play out. I think Gaskin's like this is like a rough estimate. I give it like a 75-20, like receiving 75-25 between
Gotcha.
the tackles, power back, right? Chase Edmonds, I'd put in like the 50-50.
Okay.
And then like Michelle, I'd put in a 25-75, 25 power or 25 receiving, 75 power back,
Gotcha.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how I'd estimate it. And then Mostert's kind of like because Mostert can kind of do all of that stuff. So
Right.
I'd put him in the 50-50 category. And so he's kind of like
Mostert seems like he's like, if he stays healthy, maybe he's the best running back on the whole team, but he's just so injury prone that he's kind of just there because Mike McDaniel has familiarity with him. But
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
He's also like getting up there in age. Like I really wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if he either gets cut or traded.
Yeah.
Or is
I
like
agree.
the
I
bottom of
agree.
the depth chart.
The only other question about the offense, before we look more at the defensive side, what do you think about the O-line? Because Teron Armstead's coming in.
Yeah.
Connor Williams from Dallas, he came in as well. He's usually a guard, but ESPN lists him as the projected starting center.
He is, yeah. And honestly, I think the O-line has been improved and has the possibility of being vastly improved depending on how the other players play.
So I have a question. So
yeah.
Teron Armstead's a left tackle, and like usually the left tackle is the better tackle. He protects the blind side of the quarterback. But obviously Tua being left-handed, his blind side is his right side. And
Robert Hunt.
Would you say should Teron Armstead switch to right tackle, or do you think Austin Jackson can?
No, I think if I'm being honest, here's the way I see it. I see Teron Armstead stays where he is because he's also getting older. I think it's best to keep him where he plays best.
Yeah.
And give Robert Hunt the chance to develop as like the right tackle.
Because
like I think Robert Hunt's really solid. I think he's gonna turn to a great running back one day, or running back, a great lineman. I think he's gonna be a great lineman. I think he's gonna go down as like a great Dolphins lineman. I think he really has that like capability in him.
So you're out on Austin Jackson then?
I think Austin Jackson's gonna move to guard because he played guard last year because of the way the offensive line was set up. He played guard last year, and I think he improved. He played better. His PFF grade went up when he changed the guard.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think he has what it takes to be a tackle. But I think at guard, there's still a chance to salvage his career, Yeah,
I got you.
So what I'm thinking is, so Connor Williams at center, perfectly fine by me. He's a perfectly serviceable player. I think Connor Williams is great. So I don't really have an issue. He's not like amazing, but like he's good. He's solid. I'm not worried about him being our center, So my projections are Armstead and Hunt are left and right tackles respectively. Williams is the center. Austin Jackson is one of the guards. And for the other guard, I couldn't tell you like who I think, but I want Solomon Kinley to improve and come back and be our starting guard because I love Solomon Kinley.
He made the all-rookie team as a rookie. He was a bench player last year. He was a backup. So
yeah, no, I'm really hoping Solomon Kinley turns around this year, and I just really like Solomon Kinley. I don't know why. Just a big fan of him because he apparently kind of showed up like overweight last year, and it seems that this year he showed up more in shape, which is why my guess is Solomon Kinley's the other, and Austin Jackson those are the two guards. But yeah, I think the offensive line is improved, and then just has the chance to be even better.
Looking at the defensive side of things, obviously the secondary is where this strong suit, I would say, is. You got Xavier Howard, who we've talked about before, definitely one of the best corners in the NFL. Byron Jones opposite him, really good. And then Nick Needham in the slot was really good last year too.
Yeah, Nick Needham, which is crazy because obviously, like, I know no one saw his like rookie preseason, but I did because I was a Dolphins fan.
Yeah,
His rookie preseason was, dude,
he was bad.
he was awful, which is insane that he's managed to like make a good career out of it. And
Yeah,
I really like Nick Needham for that. Like he bounced back and like really, he really like made something out of himself, and which is why I really like Nick Needham. I think Nick Needham, he's not the greatest slot corner out there, but I think he's underrated. I think people like give him some credit. Nick Needham's good. Like because his that preseason, his rookie year, he was getting burnt by like the Falcons' fourth string wide receivers, and I was like, damn, this is how you get ruined like that. But
that's why he's playing the slot now. But that's a good. But it's good that he's.
well, because that's also because that fits his skill set more. Because he's
Right.
only a smaller guy, and I think they put him in the right place.
Gotcha. But
Yeah, no.
X is the main guy here. I mean,
For sure.
He's a turnover. He forces turnovers like very few other corners, but he's
He's a
also
ball hawk.
he's a ball hawk, but he also is a lockdown. Like you look at his
Oh yeah,
the completion percentage allowed, the QBR allowed. He's also elite in those areas. So
oh yeah, for sure. I feel he's criminally underrated by this league. I think too many people like to write him off, and it's just no. Xavier Howard's goated.
And he worked out the contract situation. He got
that figured out.
And then the safety. Talk about the safeties. Javon Holland, Brandon, Eric Rowe.
Don't even get me started because Javon Holland, that's my guy, dude. Javon Holland, dude, he was rated one of the best safeties in the league as a rookie. Yeah. Let's not even get started on the possibility this year. I would not be, and this is coming as like not a Dolphins fan. Like this is coming as someone who's just like looking at it like as objectively as I want to try to be. Like Javon Holland could easily become one of the best, if not the best safety in these upcoming years because that kid is insane. I don't know what they put in his OJ in the morning, but it's something, and he's amazing. I mean, the guy's insane. I mean, and to get him in a second-round pick, which everyone criticized, everyone was like, "Oh, you guys should have drafted." What was his name? The guy the Raiders drafted, like Teron Morig or something like that.
Oh, Trayvon Mulwig, I think is.
That's what. Yeah, the guy from TCU. Everyone said he was like way better. It's pleasantly shocked that Javon Holland has really, really come through like that.
It's a problem for sure. And Brandon Jones, they're kind of like splitting time. I think Brandon Jones could probably, become more of a full-time starter this year.
Yeah, I think
Eric Rowe was good for you guys for a while too. So
I think he's still pretty decent. Like he's a split-time backup kind of guy. Like and I think he seems okay with that role. I really think that Brandon Jones is going to be our starter this year.
Well, Brandon Jones had 5 sacks last year, and that was on very limited pressure. So, like, I don't expect him to do that every year, but just that kind of playmaking is important.
Yeah, no, for sure, I agree. I think that's also good. I think our secondary is pretty well set. I think Holland and Brandon Jones as starters is great. Byron Jones, Needham, X as the corners, that's also great.
It was interesting that Josh Boyer is still the DC. Excuse me, the DC.
Yeah, I think that was the right move because if we were going to get rid of Flores, we had to keep the DC, and I think that was the right move. And I think like the defense really came alive that second half of the season.
Well, Jalen Phillips is going to keep growing. He's really.
Oh yeah, Jalen Phillips. The linebackers. I think the linebackers have a great shot to really improve. I mean, we haven't talked about the draft class too much yet, but like half the draft class was linebackers. Cameron Good, which was the 5th round pick, I believe. I don't project too much out of him. I think he'll be solid at some point, but like right now, his rookie year, I don't think he's going to do too much. But Channing Tindall, our 3rd round draft pick, my God.
You think he's going to play?
I'm excited about him. I really do think he's going to play. I think,
so you think
right now,
you got him taking a Landon Roberts spot?
I mean, I don't know if he fully takes it. I have faith that Channing Tindall is going to have the starting spot next year.
Okay.
But I think Channing Tindall this year, he's going to be Landon Roberts, Jerome Baker. He's going to be their backups.
Jerome Baker gets it done.
He is. I think people. I see a lot of people like are really like, especially Dolphins like beat writers. They're like kind of like, Jerome Baker's mid. What do you mean he's mid?
Yeah.
It's because he's doing everything in the linebacker core that it
Right.
looks like he's not.
Right. Like he
Great.
has to play the pass coverage. He has to tackle the runners. Like they
Yeah,
don't have. I mean, Van Ginkel's fine, but he's more outside linebacker. So really,
he's
like,
awesome. He's a rusher.
what'd you say?
He's a rusher. Like,
Yeah,
it's
right,
what it
right.
is.
Him and Agba are on the edge. Like Jerome Baker before this year, he was pretty much the only inside linebacker that
We
was
had, yeah. Because Roberts is good, but he's mainly a run stopper. I think because Roberts also came back on a 1-year deal. So I think like if
Gotcha.
Tyndall plays well enough, like you let Roberts go, keep
Well,
Tyndall as the starter.
let's be real. Landon Roberts is only there because of Brian Flores, because he brought it from New England. Like he's
I mean, Atlanta Robert, he's not bad though, but like he's just not. He's very one-dimensional in terms of mostly being a run-stopping linebacker, which is fine. Like that's not. Like, it's okay. You need a run stopper from time to time, but it's also in this league, you need someone who can do both.
Yeah, I
agree. I
agree.
really do feel that Tyndall can do that, which is why I'm so excited about Tyndall. I think our outside linebackers, Phillips and Van Ginkel, I think is a great duo.
Agba's more defensive end, but he's
more defensive end. But
he's a pass rusher, though. He is a pass rusher.
Yeah, Agba's underrated. I still think he should have made the Pro Bowl his first year.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 seasons ago, he should have made the Pro Bowl.
I agree. Yeah.
It is what it is. He didn't get the recognition.
Did you like the contract he got?
Oh yeah, I think it's fine. I wish we'd gotten a 5th year out of it, but I can't be too mad about it because he's a stud. I'm really glad he's on the team. I'm glad he stayed because honestly, if we'd lost Agba, I'd be terribly concerned about our D line. I mean, in terms of like the D line, he's the like the quarterback hunter. Really, like Sealer and Christian Wilkins and like Adam Butler and Raekwon Davis and like those guys, they're the run stuffers. They put pressure, but they're not going to sack the quarterback as often. Like that's what Agba's there for, and that's what we need him. But having Agba really helps the D line itself specifically.
Yeah, for sure. I like Agba a lot. I really like most of your defense. I think is really strong. I think that even losing Flores, I think, like we said, keeping the same coordinator, I see no reason why the Dolphins potentially couldn't be a top 10 defense in the league.
Absolutely.
Just stay healthy. I mean.
Yeah, of course. But that's a given with everything, you know?
Right, for sure. So let's wrap up the Dolphins here. We can look at the schedule, make a little bit of predictions here. So you're home New England week 1. We got the Ravens on the road, home for Buffalo, in Cincy, in New York for the Jets, home for the Vikings, home for Steelers, in Detroit, in Chicago, home for the Browns, home for the Texans, in San Fran, in LA with the Chargers, visiting Buffalo. Big game for us. I'm excited for this. We're going to be doing a podcast for this. Packers versus Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas Day match. I'm excited for that one. And then your Patriots and Jets to wrap up the season. What do you make of those? What's your general prediction? We don't need to predict every single game because I think there's a lot of variables. But what's the ceiling for this Dolphins team for you?
I think this Dolphins team easily could be a 10-win team, but I'm not gonna say either. I think the Patriots game, I'm not super worried about it. I'm real. I feel like there's only so many times that Bill Belichick can turn a team of nobodies into a team of somebody.
I agree with that. When we talk the Patriots, I have a lot of thoughts on what they're doing.
I just really think that this isn't like a Patriots team that has every team has potential, right? But this isn't a team where you look at it and you're like, oh, they could be okay. This is a Patriots team that you look at them and like, yeah, that's a bad team.
Right.
You lost, losing J.C. Jackson. I know Bill Belichick's one of the greatest coaches of all time, but there's only so many times you can do something like that. I mean, your starting corners being Malcolm Butler, Jalen Mills, and Jonathan Jones, that does not scare me whatsoever. I'm sorry. Especially with our wide receiving core, no shot I'm worried about that.
Let me know here's how I broke it up. So I've got the Dolphins. I think my prediction for them is 10-7 as well. I think they're a 10-win team. I really do. Because for all the reasons we've outlined. The Dolphins just have a strong team. They have few weaknesses where there's few positions where they have no one who can be at least decent, Yeah. So agreed. If I had to categorize the schedule, I think you're going to sweep the Patriots. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So I think you're going to beat the Lions and the Bears.
Yeah.
I think Cleveland and Houston are also wins for you guys.
What order are you going in? Are you just like you categorize it by like
These
wins
are
and
like
losses?
these are the teams I think you're going to beat no matter what happens.
Yeah,
So then I think you're going to split with the Bills and the Jets.
that's fair. I
Yeah.
don't fully agree with the Jets one, but
You could definitely yeah.
I can see where it's coming from.
You
If
could
like the
definitely
Jets
sweep the
really,
Jets. It's definitely
I can
possible.
see it. I don't. I'm not super on that train, but I can see it. I
Yeah,
can see
for
it.
sure.
It's fair.
So and then these are games I got just straight up toss ups. Ravens, Bengals, Vikings, Steelers, Niners, Chargers, and the Packers. So all those games you could win, you could lose, and you're going to win a couple of them. And you throw that in with the 8 wins I already gave you. I say you win 2 or 3 of those games. So I think this is a 10 or 11 win team. I really think the
Yeah,
Dolphins are going to be good this year.
yeah. I think. Let me. I'm gonna go through the schedule like by order,
Yeah. Yeah.
like just to, like run it through again. I think the Patriots. I'm not worried about them. I'll be honest. Ravens. I'm not worried about them either, bro. I'm looking at this depth chart they got going. No receivers, and Mark Andrews. I mean, he's great. I
Yeah.
mean, Lamar Jackson. He's great. The running backs are good.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a toss up. You could beat them.
You
You
know
could.
what? Looking at that more, I do see where the toss up comes from. I'll be honest. I think the Bills could sweep us both times, but I could see it being a toss up.
Yeah.
Bengals definitely a toss up. It really depends on like how much they really improve, how much we improve this year. The Jets, as it stands, I'm not worried about losing to the Jets, but I do see the possibility of it being a toss up with one of the games.
Yeah. I mean, we can get to the Jets eventually when we do an episode about them. I mean, I think they're going to take a leap, but I don't think they're as good as you guys. But
Yeah,
I also think like you lose divisional matchups from time to time.
I'll be honest. The Vikings, I'm not worried about the Vikings.
I
Not
was I
super.
was trying to be unbiased. I mean, they do have a good offense.
I'm not super worried, but I'm still a little worried.
Yeah.
I think that's a toss up, but not as much as like the Bengals game. You know,
Right. Right.
I'm gonna be honest. I think we lose to the Bills in that first game. I think we're still gonna need to be finding our footing.
Yeah.
The Steelers. Uh, I mean, the
I think
Steelers.
you can beat them. I think you can beat them.
I think it's a toss up, but leaning in our favor. Like they have really good coaching, but I don't think their team's amazing. I mean, Detroit. I think Detroit's a scrappy team. They'll give us a fight, but I still think we ultimately beat them.
Yeah.
Bears, not at all worried about, and I feel bad. I feel bad for Justin Fields because I like Justin Fields. Cleveland, not worried about them at all. Houston, not super worried. San Fran, that's a toss up. Like that's like a 50-50.
So we're
Los
trying
Angeles,
Daniel going back to San Fran.
yeah, Los Angeles. I think Los Angeles can beat us. Quite frankly,
Oh, for sure.
the Bills definitely could beat us. Packers could beat us easily. Patriots, not worried about them still. Jets, not worried about them currently, but could change.
I think we're in agreement. This is like probably a wild card team because the Bills are that good,
Yeah,
but there's no reason the Dolphins can't have a really good season.
yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
I would agree. And just to wrap it up, so if you had to make just like if the Dolphins were to make a run in the playoffs, like if they were to compete for the Super Bowl, maybe not make it, but like just to be even in contention, like what is the key thing you think has to happen?
The offense needs to click.
Yeah, it just needs to be that like amazing. Like it just needs
The
to start
offense needs to
on.
be as advertised.
Right.
We need that. But honestly, I think this offense has a chance. Like honestly, the draft class didn't really need to do much. It was more about like what we did in the offseason. I think like the receivers are great. The
Like
running backs are
Cedric
all
Wilson,
good.
we neglected, but Cedric Wilson's also a good piece.
Cedric Wilson's great.
A good
I think
third.
that was a great signing.
It was.
Um, I think Trent Sherfield like could sneak his way onto the team. I think Trent Sherfield's kind of good. I don't think
Yeah,
he's
I mean, I
terrible.
don't have a big opinion on him, but I could definitely he's gonna make the team. I think he'll probably be your fifth receiver.
Yeah, my guess for like the receiving core is obviously Tyreek, Waddle, Wilson, Ezukanma, Sheffield, and then Lynn Bowden as the six.
Yeah, as like the flex guy. Yeah,
Yeah, because I think he stays on the team as a flex, and then like we keep some people on like the practice squad.
right.
But no, I do really think that. So I think the offense is great. I think the defense is already excellent on its own. I think the offense just needs to click. Like everyone's talking about oh, the Dolphins are amazing. Like they're the new Chiefs and 49ers hybrid, and like they're going to be
Yeah.
great. And
Yeah.
like I hope we turn out that way because if we do,
Yeah.
we could easily be one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah. I definitely agree. And like we said, I think the McDaniel hire is going to age really well. I think he's going to be around for a while. And like you said, I think Tua make or break year for him. And no matter which way it goes, I still think the Dolphins are pretty set long term. But if things go right with Tua, things could click a lot faster than we thought originally.